Hello and welcome to Winning Paths podcast, your guide through the exhilarating world of archery. Whether you're a seasoned archer or just dipping your toes into the sport, this podcast is your go-to resource for everything archery related. Our podcast is a bi-weekly rendezvous, with fresh episodes dropping every Sunday. We are thrilled to take you on a journey exploring the rich tapestry of archery, from its storied past to the cutting-edge present, and even glimpses into its exciting future. Winning Paths isn't just about the sport, it's a celebration of the passion and dedication that fuels the archery community. Join us for riveting monologues and insightful interviews, covering a spectrum of archery topics. From the historical roots that anchor our beloved sport to in-depth equipment reviews, we've got it all. Expect fascinating tidbits, little-known facts, and explorations of archery's role in historical and sociological contexts. In essence, it's your one-stop shop for all things archery and beyond. Your participation is crucial to the heartbeat of Winning Paths. If you have suggestions, insights, or a burning desire to share your own archery journey, we want to hear from you. Connect with us at tfm.news and become a part of shaping the podcast's future. At Winning Paths, we're on a mission to continually enhance your listening experience. We value your feedback and are dedicated to delivering maximum value to our community of archery enthusiasts. So, buckle up, stay tuned, and immerse yourself in the world of Winning Paths, where the pursuit of excellence in archery knows no bounds.
Okay, so welcome to another of our TIFAM podcasts. This is Owen Reynolds, aka Stringfellow, joining you from my kitchen. And I'm joined with Neil Keeble. Marcin is here with us too, giving us some technical support as well. But we are going to chat with Neil about his archery journey. So we're going to kick it off. Neil, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
How are you?
I'm good.
Brilliant. Neil, introduce yourself anyway, and where you're from and where you hail, your background. And
Well, as you said, obviously Neil Keeble, more affectionately known in archery circles as Kibbs. Live up in Tyrone, but I shoot, mainly down in the south of Ireland. Originally from England, from near Liverpool, but moved over here about 20 years ago. So yeah, that's me.
you're loving it.
Yeah, it's good.
Neil, what club do you shoot with?
I shoot with Cuchulainn Archers up in Dundalk. I know there's obviously a little bit of a geographical journey from where I live, but there are reasons behind that. My brother-in-law lives in Dundalk, and that's when I started archery. To have someone that I knew within the archery circles was always nice, that I had a friendly face to, where I could go and shoot.
Fantastic.
So.
And what affiliation are Cuchulainn?
Archery Ireland.
Archery Ireland.
Yeah.
You're not just confined to Cuchulainn. I mean, you're broadening your taste. What other clubs do you shoot with? So
Marble Archers with SIFA, and I'm also with IFAF, but I'm actually unaffiliated with IFAF.
Do you mind me asking, why did you get into archery? What was it that piqued your interest in archery?
Archery has kind of always been, I suppose, in the background, even growing up as a kid. I would go away with my mum and dad to hotels or wherever, and part of the hotel entertainment was archery, and it was always something that piqued an interest with me, and obviously never really took it seriously.
Yeah.
Obviously up until around about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it was actually, no, this isn't the main reason, but I got married. But again, the venue where we were at, we were there for 3 days. We were the day before we got married, obviously the day we got married, and then the day after we got married. And the day after, a group of us went off and did different activities. One of them was archery. My brother-in-law was doing archery anyway with Cuchulainn, and it kind of just, I suppose, ignited something within me that I wanted to take this up a little bit more seriously than I had before.
When it comes to your bow, what bow style do you shoot?
I'm barebow.
And that's across the board,
yes,
AI.
So barebow obviously with Archery Ireland, and
Yeah.
barebow recurve with SIFA and IFAF.
Can you tell us a little about your current bow setup?
Yeah.
Your limbs, your bow, your arrows?
Yeah, so currently I originally had up until around about September, I had a Samick riser, recently upgraded to the MyBow Mycan. My limbs are Win-Wins, 38 pound. My string is made by the wonderful Stringfellow himself. I use a biter button and a sniper arrow rest. Arrow-wise is, well, again, up until literally about 3 weeks ago, I was using Black Eagle Intrepids. But I'm literally on the process of switching over to Victory Bat Target Elites.
When it comes to exploring the different, I suppose, equipment, and do you have a preference for, say, target field or 3D competitions, or you just enjoy each of them in their own way?
I enjoy them all. I mean, I don't think there's a weekend goes by where I'm not somewhere doing something of some description. If I was to put them in, I suppose, into any particular order, 3D would probably be my number one. I kind of obviously had this take up with 3D probably about 8 months ago, and again, it's just something, I suppose, just being outdoor, being in the woods, it's just so relaxing, being in the fresh air. But saying that, field and target are, very, very important to me as well.
I suppose, look, it depends on circumstances and the weather as well, but would you have an inclination or preference towards, say, the indoor and outdoor tournaments?
Outdoor when it comes to obviously 3D and field, which goes without saying. Indoor probably for target. I don't know why. It's just when it comes to target, I do prefer I suppose the shorter distance.
Yeah.
But that's.
No, and as is normal with these interviews, this is where we're going to start asking the hard questions. So, do you have any bad archery habits?
Yeah, I suppose, don't we all? Habits-wise, yeah. I suppose, there's always habits that you pick up, probably more accidentally and things like that. The hardest bit is obviously trying to build yourself out of those habits. But, that's all part of the learning curve within archery.
Of course. For any competition, whether it's 3D or indoor, and particularly for a fairly significant tournament, how do you prepare for that competition in the previous weeks, if you like?
Yeah, I think mainly what I've learned probably over the last 12 months is it's not so much as practice, it's trusting your process. I used to just, for the likes of a nationals or an open or something like that, I would practice, 4 or 5 days a week before it. And I found out when it came to the competition, I couldn't perform to the way I wanted to perform. Basically, it was almost like burnout. So now I cut it down to maybe once, twice a week, at least leaving a couple of days, before the competition, just to try and, let the muscles relax, and then obviously, you kind of get yourself mentally prepared for the competition as and when you get there.
And then right before the competition, it could be on the day, maybe even the day before, do you have any kind of little routines, or little kind of a little mental checklist, or little things that you just kind of stick to, like the little habits that you go, this is my little routine now before I get out there?
Not really. I just try and stay as relaxed as I possibly can on the day, so people that I know, obviously, or I've become very friendly with archery, is catching up with them, having a chat, just trying to stay as relaxed as possible. Then maybe half an hour, 15 minutes or so before, we're due to start, just trying to get yourself mentally prepared and focus on what you need to do. When you're on the line, is trusting in your process.
Of course, absolutely. Being on the line, during a tournament and you're there and you're looking at all the other barebow shooters and you're there, and sometimes you're under that bit of pressure. Sometimes it just comes and you're under that little bit of pressure. How do you deal with that when or do you have a little, or do you?
I don't have any.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I struggle with is nerves.
Yeah.
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually even nervous doing this now, but
you're doing great.
It's something I'm working on. Obviously, it's the mental aspect of archery. I want to try and do my best.
Yeah.
Do what I can do and things like that. But sometimes, nerves do get in the way. And it's just trying to take deep breaths, trying to, again, just trusting the process of what you can do.
Yeah. And,
trying to battle your way through it.
Absolutely. Now, you've worked very, very hard, and you've got some fairly significant achievements there in the last 2.5 years. Some fairly impressive a record set. And we do, and while everyone is special in their own way, is there any one particular competition that maybe stood out for you personally along the journey, and maybe why was that so?
I think probably, as most people would say, I think it's probably your first ever title or major title.
Yeah.
Mine was the Irish Open, the indoor Irish Open, which we had in Tala.
Yeah.
Didn't do massively well in qualification, but head-to-heads, obviously, competing against the likes of yourself, Owen, Tony Eady, Shay, even Keith Hanlon was shooting Burbo that weekend. And to actually come through that and beat some very, very significant names within the Burbo community was a very, very proud moment for me.
No, I was there now. I remember it very well as well, and it was a very intense experience now, and it was an incredible performance. And fair play to you on that one. In fairness, I was there for that. Maybe in 5 years' time, or maybe you're just enjoying the moment for what it is. But where do you see yourself maybe in 5 years' time?
At the moment, I'm just kind of enjoying as much as I can. As I say, I'm out most weekends, shooting most weekends. Yeah. Whether it be target, field, 3D, across all three associations. At the moment, I'm just driving to improve. Yeah. As we all are. If you take the enjoyment out of it, it's not worth doing it.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And then, if I was to push that out to 10 years,
I will be a master. Yeah. I wish I'd have found archery 20 years ago. Yeah. It's just something that has struck a chord with me. I've loved, the last 2.5 years. My wife probably not, but although saying to actually see more of me, she took up archery as well. Yeah, so definitely still competing. Still hopefully doing as well as I am. Yeah. But here we'll see what happens in 10 years. Brilliant.
Now, your first international was in Nimes.
It was.
And I remember you preparing for that and practicing for that, and the run up to that is a fairly significant competition. Now, can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, your journey there and how
the nightmare we had. Yeah. I mean, overall experience was absolutely amazing. Never ever experienced anything like it. To go into venues like that where you've well over 1,000 archers competing across all the bow styles, having stalls selling archery equipment, and companies the likes of Hoyt and Biter and things like that showing off their products and their new products that they've got coming out. It was such an experience. Definitely would recommend it to anybody, whether you're even just starting out or whether you're an experienced archer. You have to experience it at least once.
Like that, right now, what is the next, not just this year, but long term, what's the next really, really big tournament for you?
Well, hopefully, I have my qualification scores now for the World 3D Champs in Slovenia, actually in September of this year. I've inputted the scores in. Now, as I say, it's up to Archery Ireland now whether they want to select me or not. If I get selected, then hopefully, yes, I'll be going to the Worlds in Slovenia.
That'll be a wonderful experience.
I'm
envious of yourself for that one.
It'll definitely be something, again, never experienced before. So,
along with the score submission, how would you go about preparing for that?
One thing at the moment, as I say, which I'm trying to learn, obviously, as much as I can with 3D, is my distance management. So I'm looking, I've been watching videos and things like that on YouTube, and asking a lot of experienced 3D archers how they manage, the distance management and things like that. So again, just shooting as much between now, obviously, and then it's shooting as much 3D as I can, just to try and see whether I am picking up the correct distance, and that's across all organisations. So although the World 3Ds is a World Archery competition, where I think your maximum distance is about 30 meters.
Correct.
If I can get with the likes of IFAF and CIFA, where the distances are much, much more, and I'm learning those bigger distances, it's only going to stand me in good stead.
Absolutely, 100%. If you were to just suddenly put down your bare bow, even just for a while, and you had a split second, just a few seconds there to pick another bow category, what do you think you'd immediately reach for?
Compound.
Compound.
Yeah, it is actually something that I'm actively looking at.
Yeah.
It's not that I want to give up bare bow. It's just a physical point of view. I have a shoulder injury that's at the moment is fine, but I know further down the line it may reoccur, as regards to maybe arthritis or something of those lines. So compound, because there is that let off. So my coach is slowly introducing me into it.
Brilliant, brilliant. For anyone starting out, and especially regarding, say, equipment selection, practice, or even their expectations, their short-term expectations and long-term expectations, and given the experience that you've built up over the last 2 years, which has been amazing, is there any advice you'd give to anyone starting out?
Probably not the best person to talk about equipment, because I tweak far too much.
You're not the only one. So.
But just equipment-wise, it's not so much the equipment, it's your process, it's your technique. If you can get the right technique, your equipment will work for you. Practice-wise, again, bit like, as I said earlier on, don't over practice, because you will suffer burnout, and you'll find if by that, you may shoot great on day 1 or day 2. By day 4 and 5, you think, I'm getting worse, but it's not. It's because your body's tired.
Yeah.
And again, that goes down to in with the expectation. Don't expect too much too soon.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. My coach Christina was probably ready for hanging me, because the first maybe 6 months I was sending her questions every day. How do I do that? What do I do this? How do it? But it's how I learned.
Yeah.
It's how I absorbed things. I suppose the truth is in the pudding. From now to where I am now to where I was after, say, 6 months, it's night and day.
You mentioned Christina and Eamon. They're amazing people and amazing support as well.
Very much so. I wouldn't be where I am now without them, and everyone in Cullen, and everyone in Marble Arches, even yourself, Owen. I remember my first couple of competitions when I'd only just started, and you came up to D-Kit in Dundalk, and I was watching you, and it was like, oh my God, how is this guy so good?
First impressions.
But all I say is, going back to, again, as regards to, I suppose, is expectation. Have someone you can target. My target was you, Owen. I had you in my sights, and yes, it took me a while, and I eventually started catching up with you
and surpassing me quite significantly.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying that. So that's okay.
So that there is always that. When it comes to IFAF, Nick Seary.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a phenomenal barebow. And again, I've come very, very close to Mick now. I've not beaten him yet, but again, it's that I suppose that's my next target, is to beat Mick. Along
with the competitions and the recognition and the achievements that come with that, you're also an ambassador for Merlin Archery, and you've also been selected to become a pro staff member for Team Boning Archery. And it's amazing support to have. And both companies have been very supportive of you as well. And is there anything you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously can't thank them enough. Boning are an amazing company. Their products are fabulous. I said I've tweaked a lot. Yeah. One thing I've never tweaked is Boning products. For me, they're the best on the market. Their fletchings, once I found a fletching that I liked, I never changed it. Merlin was always my go-to shop. I spent far too much with them, but
me too.
But the advantage again,
Yeah.
when we're talking about new starts and equipment, the one thing I would say with Merlin is they have a price promise there. They'll never be beaten on price.
And do you mind me asking me, if it wasn't archery, and I mean, when archery is featured in our lives, it's hard to think of anything else because it just blocks out everything else. So, I mean, but if not archery, what else do you think you'd be doing? Or is there what else, other pursuit you think you'd be following?
I don't know. I've spoke to this a number of times with, with people within the club. And, as a young child, I've done golf, played football, I've played rugby at a slightly competitive level, but nothing has come close to archery. It's just, as I said to you before, I wish I'd have found it 20 years ago.
I think, and it's interesting to say that because as a coach, I coach people like anywhere from 4 years old to well into the mid-70s. And what's nice about it is I find that regardless of what age you start it, it's very much an activity you can enjoy in the moment.
100%. It appeals to everybody.
Absolutely.
You don't, as you say, you can be 6-year-old, you can be 60-year-old.
Yeah.
It's a sport that crosses all barriers.
Correct. Now, we're just really controversial issue, Neil, and I'm sorry I have to ask you, but these things never easy. Is it truly like border collies?
I would have a special place for a border collie, yes. I have one myself, Molly. She's 20 years old now. Don't get me wrong, I love all dogs. I'm a massive animal lover. But border collies, yes, they do have a special place in there. And especially yours too, Owen, as well.
Oh, yeah, those two. Yes, we have two there who are watching us from behind a gate there, So, and now, getting back to the medium term now, because the year is well underway, do you have any hopes or a wish list for 2024?
I always have a wish list, as I say. One of them, obviously, which I said earlier, was I'd love to be selected for Ireland, to have the first cap, yes. And to be able to go and represent the country would be a dream come true. Just keep improving. Mastering the nerves would be a great one. I'm not, I know there's a lot of books and things like that out there, which I have read and things like that. I'm not a big reader, so it's just something that I'm just going to have to try and master myself, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as I say, just try and keep winning as many tournaments as I can, bringing home as many medals as I can, and I'd love to go through 2024 winning all the nationals and the opens.
Of course.
But that takes a lot of doing, but it's something that I'd like to strive towards.
I'm going to briefly divert ourselves to Marcin Malik, who's also sitting in here, and he's eager to ask a few questions here towards the end. So I'm sorry if they haven't been
prepared for these ones.
No, yeah, I was going to say that these ones aren't rehearsed. So so ad lib is the term.
Well, it's just three small questions. Nothing scary here. The first one is just, I think they come very rarely with the podcast, and especially when we talk with the archers. Neil, what it is that you do apart of archery?
I work. I run a couple of off licenses, obviously local to myself. I do a little bit of dog grooming on the side. Nothing major, just a couple of friends. I was trained 5 years ago. I wanted it to become a full-time job. That never materialised. So just basically, a few friends that want the dogs groomed. I do it. I don't charge anything or anything like that. It's just, I just, as I say, I'm an animal lover. So it's just something that that I enjoy to do.
Related question as well. How the archery affects your rest of your life, the other part, or how the other part of your life would affect the archery?
I'm quite lucky in the way of my job is quite flexible. So, for example, I actually should have been working today, but I've approached my boss and said, look, if I can have today off, I'll work next Saturday when I don't have a competition till the Sunday, and they're very, very open. So I'm very lucky in that way that work doesn't really get involved. In fact, work is actually promoting me to actually, just going back to the Neems, they actually sponsored me. They actually paid for my registration. To actually go and compete in France, which they didn't have to do, but they're a local family orientated firm, and I can't thank them enough.
You can consider yourself very lucky.
Yeah, very, very lucky. So from that point of view, yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. Another thing which I have in mind, you've been talking with Owen, and you've been saying about the feeling of achievement, especially when it comes to your first title, and then how this feeling of achievement drives you forward, and how do you cope with the level you achieved? So with the maintaining the level you achieved.
One thing which my coach, especially Christina and Eamon, are very, very good at doing, are bringing me back down to earth. Yes, they allow me to celebrate and all that kind of thing, but a few days later they'll say, right, okay, yes, you won that, but I noticed this, and this is what I now need you to almost to work on as regards to your training and things like that, nerves, or maybe they spotted something within my process, so it is great in a way because it brings you back down to earth, I suppose, as well, but you still have that achievement. I am quite driven anyway. I'm always wanting to improve.
So in a way, one may say it's your achievement. It was building step by step, almost as a team effort.
100%. As I said, I wouldn't be the archer I am today without Christina, Eamon, Colin. You have to have people almost critiquing you, but also, but pushing you, but also celebrating with you when you do well.
And your wife is archer as well?
Yeah, so she took the archery up probably around about a year ago now. Again, she does Burbo as well, so she's not, unfortunately, she's down with an injury at the moment, but she's hoping to fight back now back out for the outdoor season. And she's doing quite well as well. She's a couple of national titles and things like that. So, and it's good that we can push each other, as well.
That's great to have a support at home as well.
Yeah.
Last one, about the Merlin Archery and being the ambassador. It's a very simple question. How do one become the Merlin ambassador? How it is happening?
So Merlin obviously every year put it out to people to apply, to become an ambassador. And basically, it's an application form you fill in. Basically, everything that you've done in archery, what you intend to do this year. But it's not all about gold medals or competitions. There's a lot of background stuff too. So if you're helping with the coaching side of things. I know a Merlin ambassador doesn't actually shoot. He's just a coach. But it's what you can bring to archery. It's basically what you can bring to archery and what you can bring to Merlin. And same with boning. Both companies, I suppose they do look at your competitive side of things. But there's a lot to it as well, so even the likes of maybe Owen that makes the strings for people, but he's also a coach, that he could, if someone's asking him questions about products and things like that, he could say, right, well, Merlin or Boning or someone like that, that they would be the people to go to.
Okay, well, sure, I'm going to grab this back now, and on that note, I think we've pretty much exhausted Neil now, and a fair play to him for sticking it out for that length of time, and
Need a drink now.
and yeah, we'll feed you now. So, Neil, thank you so much
Not a
for
problem
joining
at
us,
all.
and you have shared us a wealth of your knowledge, and I think it's an amazing thing to listen to, particularly for people starting out. Regardless of what their age or their skill set or their level of commitment, I think it's an amazing journey, and it's an amazing thing to for any archer starting out for influence or any kind of I suppose experience and all that. But no, it's an incredible journey, and thank you so much for joining us and chatting to us. And
Just going back, one last thing there I would say is, even if you're an experienced archer, be very, very open to feedback. I myself, even last week, got feedback from another archer about something that he'd spotted. Be very, very open. Be very open with it. If someone spots anything,
correct.
It's only going to help you improve.
No, absolutely. And look, I mean, and even like that, I mean, similar experience with myself. I mean, somebody spotted something I was doing that was actually potentially dangerous, and again, I was grateful for them pointing that out to me as well. And none of us are perfect, and every day's a learning, a learning curve. And like I said, that's the good thing about archery, and I like to think that everybody's got everybody's back.
Yeah,
100%. So yes, Neil, thank you so much, and Marcin, thank you for helping yourself as well with the technical end of things as well. So
thank you very much for letting me ask 3 questions. But I have a lot more, but we'll keep it for the next time.
Yeah, we'll wait next week. Yeah. So check out our podcast on tifam.news, where you'll check
and on
out
Spotify as well.
Spotify as well.
On Google Podcasts as well.
Yes. Brew a cup of coffee, sit down by the fire, and sit back and relax. Folks, thank you so much.